Sea ice isn't the only part of the Arctic that's melting. The Arctic region has its own interesting phenomenon of soil that stays frozen year-round, called permafrost. Permafrost usually lies underneath the surface soil, which may thaw during the summer. There's a lot of permafrost in the United States alone. About 80% of the land surface of Alaska has permafrost under it. Can you imagine how much permafrost exists in Siberia? This map looks at the Earth from the north, and the darkest blue color there shows the continuous permafrost. There's a lot of it. Well, as permafrost warms up and melts, that brings problems. If you live in the Arctic and your house is built over permafrost, your most immediate problem is that as that layer melts, it no longer supports your house. There's another piece of critical infrastructure that is set on top of permafrost, the Trans-Alaskan oil pipeline. The stability of this huge pipeline is ironically severely threatened by the melting of the permafrost out from under it. And it's a high-stakes situation because of the expense of fortifying the pipeline and because of the risk of serious oil spills. But a weirder, more unexpected impact of permafrost melt is what's coming out of that frozen stuff as it melts. The spookiest thing that's being released from melting permafrost is probably the microbes that have been locked away under the frozen ground for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. As they thaw out, some of these frozen species are released from their long dormancy and can become active again. Some species of these ancient bacteria, viruses, fungi, and algae have already been seen to reactivate, including some that have been found capable of causing disease. I do want to mention that this photo is not a pathogen from permafrost, just a file photo. But anyway, even scarier than the known zombie viruses are the ones that have yet to be discovered. Not to be too dramatic, but could prehistoric pestilence from permafrost be the source of our next pandemic? I really don't know if the biological material that emerges from melting permafrost will turn out to pose a serious direct threat to us in terms of disease. But microbes are involved in yet another process that's less mysterious and more scary in some ways. Along with plain old ice frozen underground is a lot of deposited organic material, mostly dead plants. As of 2019, NOAA estimated that northern permafrost region soils contain up to 1,600 billion metric tons of organic carbon, about twice as much as currently contained in the atmosphere. Once it thaws, it's ready to decompose, which basically means that microbes consume and digest it. And one of the byproducts of this microbial decomposition is carbon dioxide, and another is methane gas. We already know about carbon dioxide, but we haven't mentioned methane. You may have heard of methane because of the whole cow burp thing. Methane is a naturally occurring gas that is an extremely potent greenhouse gas. Once methane is in the atmosphere, it traps more than 25 times more heat than carbon dioxide. Methane is contributing about 25% of current planetary temperature rise. So let's think for a moment about the melting of permafrost causing the release of not only carbon dioxide, but also more methane. Remember when we talked about the loss of Arctic sea ice caused by warming and how that acted to increase warming by increasing heat absorption? We called that a feedback. Well, the melting of permafrost is another of those feedbacks. It's caused by the warming of frozen Arctic soil, and by releasing climate warming gases like CO2 and methane, it acts to accelerate that warming. The concern is that these feedbacks risk escalating the climate change problem for all of us with rapidly cascading impacts. Climate chaos affects us all.